What's up, Toes? Hoarder101 here, and welcome to another Cartoon Network comic review. This has been a long time coming. Some of these are, I think, 3 months old, and I'm sorry for putting them off so long if you guys are interested in these videos, but the main reason is I was waiting for Black Dynamite number 2 to come out, because I was expecting it to be on a 1 month, schedule, but part 2 hasn't come out yet, and it's been like 3 months, so that's kind of sad. Hopefully they didn't cancel it. The show only had a few episodes, and then I think it got cut. So hopefully the comic didn't meet the same fate, because I think that genre and that style lends itself really well to comic books. And I thought the show was awesome. So it's kind of unfortunate. Like I said, hopefully they do make more, and as they make more, I'll cover them, because I love Black Dynamite, and that issue number 1 kind of ends on a cliffhanger, and lends itself to being longer, maybe 3-4 issue arc. So anyway, if anything, I hope they finish that arc off and then cancel if they have to. But I'd like to see it run for a while, like Samurai and Powerpuff. But anyway, let's start. Samurai Jack number 5. Now, this is one variant, the subscription cover, which have been pretty consistent throughout, in terms of their style. A lot of them were large shots of the environment in a very painted style, and it was really cool and really stood for what Samurai Jack style kind of provoked in terms of emotion. And this one's the same, except it's a little bit more of a close-up, and it's got Aku in the background, mainly because this is the final issue of the Threads of Time arc, and Samurai Jack has all the threads. See, a lot of them, they just kind of do this little montage thing and show how he got them, because there's a lot of threads, and obviously if they did an issue a thread, it'd take forever, and they just did, they did 4 issues that kind of revolves around 4 bigger ones. And without spoiling too much, I don't want to spoil everything, it's a good way to end the arc, and it definitely, it definitely allows for more expansion, because obviously in true Samurai Jack fashion, Samurai doesn't defeat Aku, he pulls some sneaky trick, and it leads for more. It opens itself up for a sequel, and obviously we know this is true because there's more issues being released every month. So I'll be covering those once I get a chance to read them. So that's Samurai Jack. Awesome way to end the arc, and I definitely recommend picking up Samurai Jack. I'm assuming the trade paperback will come out soon, and it'll probably be somewhere around the ballpark of $20. It was a 5-issue arc, so probably around $20. I know the Powerpuff one for this arc, which these are the last 2 issues, 5 and 6, just came out, and that is $20, and that's 6 issues. So it'll probably be around the ballpark of $18-20 for Samurai Jack. And anyway, this arc for Powerpuff, I actually didn't know, but it's called Second Chances. It might have been written somewhere, but just if you're looking for it online, it's called Second Chances. And, obviously that's in reference to all the villains getting second chances because they were spontaneously turned good. And obviously, if you could tell by this cover, him is, behind it all. And I really like this issue, and I've been wanting, ever since I read it, I've been wanting to talk about it, but I've been waiting to make the review. This issue goes super deep, and it shows him as a mind bending villain, where he just messes around with more so your mind, and you see that in the show too. But here he uses the 7 deadly sins, and all these characters are good, but then he's taking out their bad, and even the Powerpuff Girls have some deadly sins. And see, obviously one of the guys in the Green Gang, I forget his name, but he's got gluttony, the princess has greed, Sedusa is envy, and just all sorts of stuff. Blossom is pride, and Buttercup is wrath. And it's funny because him tries to go for Bubbles, and she doesn't have any 7 deadly sins, and I love that about Bubbles. She's just so she's so pure and so nice, and she doesn't have any seven deadly sins, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have any weaknesses. A lot of her weaknesses come in, that she's shy, she's really sensitive and stuff like that, and I mean, obviously a lot of those can be fixed, and that's just a great thing about, the characters is they have strengths and weaknesses, and seeing them grow and, kind of fight bad guys despite those weaknesses. So, and I think seeing them show Blossom have pride, I just think that was super awesome, because she always considered herself the smartest one. She everyone thinks of her as the leader, and it's just interesting to see that dynamic, turned against her. So it was a great issue, and then builds up to this issue number 6, which these are both subscription variants, so they're not the original covers. I don't know, do they show the originals? They do. The original cover for this one looked super awesome too. It just had him looking at a bunch of like screens, and like he's watching everyone like with the camera, and it was just really dark and ominous, and it was also a really good one. But I did like this one with its a shot of everyone in town with all the villains, and then him overarching over everyone. So in this issue, also a subscription variant, just thought this one looked nicer than the original. Also, the original being, I mean, they're both pretty balanced. One has got Mojo in a like volcano area with the girls, and then this one's Mojo in space with the girls. So I don't know, I tend to lean towards space. Space is pretty cool, and that's why I picked this one up. But anyway, this is sort of after the fact. Once him is defeated, there's a is just kind of tying up loose ends, because the story starts with Mojo Jojo, and now it's going to end with Mojo Jojo, and it shows that Mojo Jojo had this plan the whole time, and it was really deep, in fact, that I don't think anyone saw it coming. I think that's a really good thing to like do. I mean, sometimes it's nice for the audience to know what's happening when the characters don't, because that's dramatic irony, but this time it's just a big surprise for everyone, and I really love that. And there's a lot of humor in this issue. I like that with him. There's a little bit of humor, but it's mostly, psychological warfare. It's making you uneasy. Him's very, like, despite his, like, attitude, or his voice, and, when you read it in his voice, and he's very, flamboyant, for lack of a better word, and that's not always scary, but then he manages to do it because he's just so evil, and his powers, and he grows super big, and all this stuff that makes him such an evil guy and not a funny guy. But then Mojo Jojo's like a comic relief villain, but he's also very evil as well. But he's got more funny in him than him, especially from his speech pattern of like run-on sentences, and just his plan in general is pretty awesome. And it impressed me that Mojo Jojo was able to come up with that, honestly. And again, as with Samurai Jack, it definitely sets itself up for a return and some more sequels. And obviously those issues are out as well, so can't wait to read those. And then lastly we got to Ben 10, and this is only a 4 arc issue. So Powerpuff was 6, Samurai was 5, and now Ben 10 was 4. And it was interesting because they came out like Powerpuff was a month before Samurai was a month before Ben 10, so they all finished up at the same time, which I thought was pretty cool. And if we just cycle through a little bit, like I said, they switched back to the old art style. I believe issue number 2, they used a new art style, and it was either 2 or 3 where they used a new art style, and then they switched back to the original art style that reflected more the show. That one, I think it was 2. Issue number 2's art style was more, I want to say anime. Like the characters were a little bit more exaggerated to look like, I don't know, like Kevin was a lot more buff. I think Ben and Rook were a lot more buff. And my opinion on this comic is honestly, it's not the best like arc. If you had to pick between Samurai, Powerpuff, and like Ben 10, I'd definitely go with Samurai and Powerpuff, like hands down. Being a huge fan of the Ben 10 original series, I feel like the story itself doesn't hold up. There's a lot of humor in like the original Ben 10 show and in Omniverse. Now, I want to kind of touch on that, like Omniverse in general, because I've been watching a lot of it. I'm like more than halfway done with like the episodes that are out so far, and I really like it. I originally like was reluctant to watch it because of the art style, and they were changing a lot of aliens, and they did change a lot of aliens, and personally I don't like some of the redesigns, but some of them are okay, and the story is super, or not the story so much, but the style of the show is really funny. There's a lot of jokes, a lot of running gags, and you don't see any of those in the comics. It's like they're trying to take all the seriousness of Ben 10 and put it into a comic, and all the action and stuff, and I don't remember one joke in this comic, and it makes me sad because there's so much potential here with witty dialogue and intense action scenes and having those breaks in between for the funny. It could be worked out so well, and I don't know. And even the villains, they didn't seem so memorable. Like in the Ben 10 Omniverse, the show, they have a lot of overarching bad guys. They have they have this corrupted upgrade guy who's malware. He's super cool. They have this hunter, Kyber, and I mean, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if you've seen the show, but these villains are actually really cool. And because you don't get a lot of Vilgax, or I haven't seen a lot of Vilgax so far, that they have to make these other Vilgax-esque enemies to kind of match what Vilgax did, and kind of match what the Hybrid did, and Alien Force, and all that stuff. And I think they did a really good job in, the fear, the ominousness, the fact that they don't show up every episode, but you know that they're always watching. And here they just decided to dedicate 4 issues to a very one-off plot. I mean, if you look at Samurai Jack and Powerpuff, Samurai Jack, it's all leading up to Aku, which is awesome. And then Powerpuff is all leading up to him and Mojo Jojo, which is also awesome. And Ben 10, it doesn't really lead anywhere. It's established very early on that, there's this bad guy, Serpent, and he's just a one-off enemy. He's been in comics before. He was in Ben 10 Classics. I reviewed that a long time ago. He was in a little one-off issue. And I mean, I think that was enough for Serpent. He got his 5 pages of fame, because those comics were a little bit shorter. And that was with original Ben 10. And I don't think he needed a return here. And it was just a lot of, I think a lot of missed potential is the best way to say it. So I can't, in good conscience, recommend the first Ben 10 arc. And I don't know if I will continue reading it. I'll, page through, look through a couple pages on, the next issue when it comes out. And other than that, I mean, I'm probably not going to pick it up. One cool thing they could do that might get me back on board, that Omniverse does, is they sometimes switch between Ben and young Ben, and that way you could get a really cool time-based thing, or flashback scenes in there with young Ben, or you can just do an entire young Ben thing, because he's cool too. He's got feedback, which is a really cool alien, and obviously Ben likes him a lot because he uses him all the time, and that's kind of established in the series why he does that. So that's another thing I love about Ben 10 Omniverse. It's turning to Ben 10 Omniverse, the review. But I really like that they kind of meta almost. So they sometimes meta their scenarios. If you watch it as the episodes are released, you're probably like, wow, young Ben only uses feedback. But then they make an episode and explain why he only uses feedback. And Alien Force did that sometimes, where in the dialogue they'd have witty remarks. Like one time Ben made a comment about when he got alien smoothies at Mr. Smoothies. They were all based on his aliens. He said that the Alien X one was super anticipated, but ended up being a disappointment, which is probably a reference to what people thought of Alien X being a disappointment, because he's basically the end-all be-all, win-all villain, or not villain, alien. But I do like Alien X. Alien X is cool because, he's got that mind games thing. But anyway, this isn't a Ben 10 review. This is a Cartoon Network Comics review. And one last thing before I sign off is, like I said, I'm probably not going to do Ben 10, but on the bright side, there is a super awesome mega crossover thing happening in the summer with the comics, where it's Samurai Jack, Powerpuff Girls, Ben 10, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Dexter's Laboratory, and then there's a couple one-off issues too that are Foster's, Billy and Mandy, I think Johnny Bravo, and then one other one, and it's just going to be totally amazing. I can't wait for that to come out, and I'm definitely going to be talking about those when those come out, because I'm super excited. It's just the build up. They haven't been really. They've mentioned they showed a few cover variants here and there, but there isn't too much news out there about it yet. At least I don't think so. Before that, though, I think Dexter's Lab has to be released as an actual series, so that's going to be cool too. And, you know, aside from this mega crossover happening, I would love to see, you know, some individual crossovers within the comics, like that one time. I keep going back to this one, but when Madam Foster was in the Townsville, and just even if it was just like a background thing or for one panel, I love seeing that, because, you know, that just kind of intertwines the universes just a little bit more, and I can't wait to see how they bring together all the universes, and because all the villains, you know, are together, and I would just really love to see it, because, you know, the common accepted theory is that Samurai Jack's world is just a futuristic Townsville, and I love that theory, and I would just love to see if they make that canon, if it's not already in the comics. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. It's been a long time coming in this review, and I'll try to get back on track with the issues that are currently out for Samurai, Powerpuff, and other stuff in the future. So I'll see you guys later. Camel Hoarder 101 out.